There are some pen brands that really sort of stand out in the market for various reasons. For me, there are brands that are writers brands, there are brands that are collectors brands, and there are brands that are social media brands. And somehow, Montblanc seems to be all three. In this pen, the Great Writers Bram Stoker edition from this year, newly out, they have created a pen that is subtle enough to just be a great fountain pen, has enough detail and enough cool factor to be a collector pen, and also it's just an absolute stunner that catches the eye of everyone on social media land. I'm very grateful to a friend who purchased this pen and has loaned it to me for a little while to do like a first impressions review. I've been writing with it pretty solidly for the last couple of days, and I have some thoughts and I have some feelings, and I've got to say most of them are pretty good. It is not a cheap pen. Is it worth it? Is Montblanc worth it in general? Well, that's for you to decide. This pen is going to get a lot of attention and a lot of people are going to love it, and I have to say I've really loved using it. So let's check it out now. I'll show parts and features, all that kind of stuff. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, and consider becoming a member of this channel, where for a small monthly fee you'll get early access to my videos and some priority comments and messaging and that kind of stuff. A massive thank you to my fantastic friend Shanul for loaning me this pen to show you and to review. That's a lot of trust to put in someone, and I am very grateful. So let's look at this very cool pen from Montblanc. Well, here it is. This is how the Montblanc Writers Edition Homage to Bram Stoker Limited Edition comes packaged. So my friend Shanul, who loaned me this beautiful pen, is one of the leading operatic tenors in Australia. I've had the pleasure of sharing the stage with him a number of times. I'll link to his YouTube channel just in the video description here. Give him a little professional plug, if you will. But I am so grateful for him loaning me this pen to show you. So it's this lovely outer sort of sturdy cardboard box. It's really lovely. It just got like a book style feature of how the pen is actually in there. It says Fountain Pen, Writers Edition, Homage to Bram Stoker, Limited Edition, with of course the snowflake there. That slides out, and more or less the same decoration on the inside there. This is like it's like an outer cover for a book, and that opens up. Should say there's also nothing on the back there. That opens up, and on the inside here we get the book about the edition, and this is beautifully done. Like, it's very simple, but the gorgeous photography in there. A picture of the notebook, which I'll show you in just a bit. A little bit of information about Bram Stoker, all the information you might need, and of course in a couple of languages. There's also like a little service and care guide and all that kind of stuff in the back. Lovely. Montblanc do this sort of thing exceptionally well. But this is what we're here to see. So it comes in a little material sleeve here that opens up, and I've still got it safely stored in the paper. And here is the pen itself. So I'm going to get a little closer with the camera. I'm going to show you this and talk about parts and features, a little writing sample, and I'll talk about what I really like about this, and whether and who it's for. It's an interesting point. So this is the Montblanc Writers Edition Homage to Bram Stoker. This was, it's released in 2026. Officially, I think it's released at the beginning of July. I've managed to look at it towards the end of June, which is very cool. Natively, this pen only comes with a fine or a medium nib, and this one is the fine. And there's a lot of detail on here about Stoker, of course. It is a tribute to him. So I'm going to sort of get started on that while covering the parts and features. So obviously Bram Stoker, who was like a civil servant, a theatre manager, described as a progressive thinker and the pioneer of the horror genre. And in 1897, he wrote Dracula, which is what he's best known for. And there's lots of references on this pen that sort of go into that. So Stoker was born in Ireland in 1847 and died in London in 1912. So he really was one of the pioneers of that sort of horror genre and kind of set up the vampire myth as we know it now. Okay, so top of the pen, as you can see there, not the typical white snow cap that Montblanc is known for. This is a beautifully dark red snow cap in a black plastic top there. All the furniture on the pen is ruthenium coated. So it's got these beautiful sort of Victorian style elements in the furniture of the pen, which are designed to represent the kinds of pens and writing instruments that Stoker would have used himself. On the clip band here, you'll notice two dots just at the top there. They are designed to represent bite marks from a vampire. And then the clip ties into that with this sort of like tapered feel and then like this little like drop on the end, and that is to represent the line of blood after a bite. And it also echoes a historic Montblanc clip as well. So the cap, the material itself is this beautiful precious resin with these like deep shades of red and black designed to sort of invoke impending danger. And we've got Bram Stoker's signature there on the cap as well. It is a beautifully simply done element of the pen. The cap is mostly cylindrical and they've got this sort of bulbous center band, and then it steps down onto the barrel and the barrel tapers slowly in that beautiful precious resin. And then we get another bulbous like ring, the piston knob, which is all in that ruthenium, and then some lovely decorative elements and a flat end. As I said, it is designed to sort of have details that represent Victorian writing instruments, but the entire pen's shape is a nod to the design of the Pravis, may have said that wrong, Pravis syringe, which operated by a screw mechanism, which ties in lovely with, you know, the piston element of this pen. Now, obviously the pen is inked. My friend loaned it to me inked with Montblanc Enzo Ferrari purple. So I won't activate the piston, but it operates in the same way. You put the nib into a bottle of ink, turn the piston, a piston runs up and down in the pen like a syringe and draws ink up into the pen. There are lots of videos online about how to do that, including some on my channel here. So if you're not familiar with the filling method, just YouTube search piston filling fountain pen, you know, how to fill, something like that. It is a screw cap and it comes off in about 1.5 turns. Now, this version does not post. It's not designed to post. After that, we get a little step down onto some smooth threads, a lovely tapered ruthenium section, and then this absolutely lovely AU 750 or 18 karat gold nib. Now on the nib are some features as well. It has the typical 4810 and then it's got Stoker's coat of arms engraved on there as well. And there is the feed. It's very nice. It's ornate and it's clearly decorative and it's got these beautiful tribute elements. But in saying that, it's a relatively simple pen. I know a lot of those, like the Hitchcock and things like that, had big, bold elements on them. This is relatively straightforward, and I like that about it. It's dark, it's muted, it says everything you would expect about someone like Bram Stoker and Dracula, and it does it in a pen that is considerable. It's substantial in the hand. It's a good size. It's slightly oversized for a Montblanc, but it is a really lovely weight in the hand. It's got a lot of metal in the pen, and that definitely, you know, pays big dividends in how the pen feels and writes in the hand. I'm not going to do a huge size comparison today, but this pen is, you know, considerably longer than a standard Lamy Safari, and here it is alongside the Pilot Custom Urushi, which is a very big pen. So you see it's a nice size, but it's not like super oversized. And those relative dimensions continue when it is uncapped. Of course, this one, the Montblanc Bram Stoker, doesn't post, whereas things like, of course, the Lamy Safari does post, the Urushi does also post, but I don't post it. So, you know, that's its writing size, but it's very comfortable because it's definitely not a small pen. So let's quickly talk about the dimensions of the Montblanc Writers Edition Homage to Bram Stoker. It is 147 millimeters when it is capped. It is 131 when it is uncapped, so it's a very, very comfortable size in the hand. It doesn't post, as I said. Around the middle of the section is about 11 millimeters, and the widest point on the cap is about 17.5. Now, the pen in total weighs 54 grams. 35 of that, and that is inked, I should say, 35 of that is in the body, and 19 of that is in the cap. So if it was postable, it would actually be quite back weighted. There's a lot of weight back here in that piston knob, just as there is in the section, but any more on the back there, and it would start to feel a little bit off. But when it all comes down to it, this is a good size pen. It is a very comfortable pen, and it, definitely feels substantial in your hand. So let's do a writing sample here with this beautiful pen from Montblanc. Okay, so this is 90 GSM Clairefontaine paper, and this is a 18 karat gold, a ruthenium plated gold nib in fine, and the ink in this is Montblanc Enzo Ferrari purple. So there will be a Bram Stoker ink. I don't have my hands on that yet. I will be getting that. That's more like a purpley blue blurple kind of color. This Enzo Ferrari is a deeper purple. I would have loved to have seen this matched with a really rich dark browny red personally. But Montblanc tend to do this, like the Romeo and Juliet with that beautiful teals in the pen coming with a bright red ink. I understand like red for the heart, all that kind of thing. But this coming with a blue purple ink doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It's right with it. So it writes really smoothly. A lot of people talk about how beautifully smooth the Montblanc nibs are. I've always found them okay, but there are nibs I find to be considerably smoother than this. Like, I think the smoothest gold nib I've ever tried was on I can't remember what model it was, but it was an ST DuPont pen that I borrowed from someone at one point. And that, I've never felt a pen like that. I have some lovely smooth nibs in my collection. The, Pilot Sylvan nib is an absolute winner, the Pelikan M1000, and this is up there with those. It's really lovely to write with. It's not like buttery smooth, but I wouldn't even say there's feedback. It's just a very nice sort of level of smooth. Reverse writing, if you want to do such things, is kind of possible. I'm not going to push this nib in terms of flexing it, but it's definitely not like a stiff needle, but I'm not going to push it to flex it out. It's not my pen, and it's an expensive pen. Wetness, though, this is where Montblanc do things very, very nicely indeed. You can see that writes very, very wet. Quick writing. And I'm applying no pressure here at all, and it's holding up really, really well. It writes beautifully under its own substantial weight. It's just a lovely, lovely writer. When Montblanc get it right, they really get it right. And I think this is one of the editions that I think they really got it right with. Okay, now we're going to talk about the business. Firstly, that Bram Stoker ink in Australia will retail for 85 Australian dollars. Okay, so it's not inexpensive ink. It's a 50ml bottle, but when you compare it to something like Robert Oster costing about $23-24 Australian, Diamine costing 26-27 Australian dollars for 80 mils, the Montblanc limited edition inks are very expensive. It's Montblanc. Montblanc are expensive. They are a luxury brand. They have positioned themselves in the market for that. So you are always going to pay more for a Montblanc item, even if it's not necessarily a luxury product in terms of quality. This is a fantastic pen and a fantastic writer. Also, a very expensive pen. Before we talk about the price of the pen, let's have a very quick look here at this notebook. So most of these special edition pens also come with a special edition notebook, and this is the Bram Stoker one. So it's this sort of like plush velvet with this like sort of treatment on it. I don't even know what it's called, like an embossing kind of thing of this like flowery pattern. Has the Montblanc logo on the back there, and it's got this like red edging onto the pages, which is quite nice. It's soft cover, and you know, it's very nice. It's got wide line width. I'm not even sure what line width that is, but it's probably close to a centimeter. Each page has Montblanc on the bottom of it, and Montblanc made in Italy. So the Montblanc notebooks use Federigiani paper, and this isn't my notebook, so I'm not going to write in and test it, but they're famously, so far, not really fountain pen friendly. I know they are looking to improve that, and hopefully they do. It would be great to see them, you know, partner with a really great paper company and create something that stands up to the quality of the pens and inks they produce. It just seems wild to me that Montblanc notebooks aren't fountain pen friendly, but it's a beautiful edition. It looks amazing, and it feels incredible in the hand. And now to the pen itself. This pen retails in Australia, the fountain pen version, for $2,650. That's a lot of money. That is a heck of a lot of money. The standard Montblanc 149 in Australia now retails for $2,050. That's the standard Montblanc 149, the black precious resin, for over $2,000. So $2,650 for a limited edition in comparison is actually kind of okay, but it's still an expensive edition. The rollerball costs $2,120 and the ballpoint costs 1,930 Australian dollars. And for the sake of the record, that notebook costs 205 Australian dollars. Now, all of that is perfectly fine. It's a lovely pen. This is a limited edition, but the super limited edition version, the 1897 fountain pen, retails for $8,880. So $2,650, not so bad in comparison. In comparison to something like, you know, a Pilot Custom Urushi, or a King of Pen, which you can get for between $1,500 and $1,800-ish sometimes in Australia. This is an expensive pen, but it is a well-made, beautifully designed, and I think simply designed, beautiful tribute to a literary figure. So what are my pros and cons for this pen, the Bram Stoker limited homage to Bram Stoker limited edition from 2026 from the Montblanc Writers Edition? Okay, cons, price. Like, this is not going to be a pen for everyone. Not everyone will be able to just afford that pen. It is expensive. But lots to talk about that's good. A couple of things I do just want to quickly mention is that nib is very broad for a fine nib. You find that with Montblanc pens in general. They're like a notch further down the line. They're like more like Pelican in that way. So with a fine here, as you saw in the writing sample, it's definitely not fine. It writes more like a standard, what I would consider close to a standard medium, and it writes very wet. Another con with this pen is that it doesn't have an ink window. Any piston filling pen that you cannot see through that does not have an ink window means you do not know how much ink you have left until you run out. If I were designing a piston filling pen, regardless of its price point, I would work some sort of ink window into the design. The other issue is this ruthenium plating everywhere and the metal section will get fingerprints everywhere all the time. I spend a lot of time just like cleaning it. And also it is a metal section. So if you don't like metal grip sections and find them slippery, it may not be the pen for you. Before I talk about the pros, I just also want to mention one thing about Montblanc. On their website, they give a lot of details about the tribute aspect of the pen and all those kinds of things. They do mention that, you know, it's a piston and those kinds of things. But they don't give any information about the pen for those people who are serious about like writing instruments, serious fountain pen users. A lot of it is about people who are collectors and the prestige of that. They don't talk about the weight. They don't talk about the, grip section size or anything like that. It is really about why this pen is a collector's piece. And I think that sets up a little bit how Montblanc view a lot of their writing instruments. Like their standard ones, I'm talking, the Legrand, the, 146, the 149, those kinds of pens. They are more everyday writer pens in that luxury world. If you're someone who wants to write with a pen like this, and I know Shanul, who lent this pen to me, is a fountain pen user. He writes with them. That is what he does. I would love to see more detail. Just a little, specifications section that goes into some of the information about this pen, so like the grip size, the weight, all that kind of thing. That's important information. And if you're spending close to $2,700 on a fountain pen, when there are gold nib pens in the sub $1,000 range that write absolutely beautiful as well, I think you really should be giving just a little bit more information to those people who are serious fountain pen users, not just the collectors. But what are my pros? Okay, firstly, the nib is lovely and wet. I'm just going to show you one thing quickly here. So this is a sheet of Tomoe River paper, 68 GSM old stock Tomoe River, and both with the Enzo Ferrari ink, I wrote with the Montblanc 149 medium and then the Montblanc Bram Stoker with its fine nib. Now, yes, there is a definite difference between the fine and the medium, but they are so broad. They're both broad, but you can see it is sort of in line with that. But it is a lovely wet nib. It writes very, very well. It's like I've been writing with this for a couple of days, kind of non-stop. In fact, I refilled it with my Enzo Ferrari after it was loaned to me. And it's got no problems with ink starvation or anything like that. It's a well-made, well-tuned pen. It's got a really lovely weight and size in the hand. It's lovely. It's beautiful. But when you buy this pen, you're buying it both as a writing instrument, but you are also buying it as a tribute to Bram Stoker and his legacy there. So it's got all these beautiful details, the bite mark, the bloodline there, the signature, the color scheme, the Victorian elements, and of course that wonderful red snow cap, which I think is just absolutely fantastic on the top there. But I don't think those details are overdone. They're still kind of subtle. Like, if you didn't know this was a Bram Stoker themed pen, you would just think it is a beautiful ruthenium coated, antique styled Montblanc pen. It's lovely, it's subtle, it's simple, but then those elements are there if you look for them. I think it's fantastic. So who is this pen actually for? Who is it aimed at? Well, it's definitely not aimed at the person who wants a pen that they can throw in their bag and carry around as like, an everyday carry. You're not going to do that with a pen like this. But it is designed for, obviously, collectors, people who collect those writers' editions. This is going to be something that had that. And that beautiful packaging with that book-style spine, they present and they display really, really beautifully. It's going to be for people with, a specific interest in Bram Stoker and Dracula and all those kinds of things. Like, it's a themed pen, it's an homage, and it pays a beautiful tribute in that way. But I think also this is a pen for people who want to write. I've had a couple of Montblancs over the years. Well, I've had a number of Montblancs, but at the moment I've got a 146, a 149. The JFK was my favorite. It's one I don't use because it doesn't sit right in my hand, but it's such a beautiful looking edition. This one is a pen for writers. It feels good in the hand. It writes well. It's designed for that. So it's really, really fantastic. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, and consider becoming a member of this channel. And a big thank you to Shanul, my friend, for loaning me this pen to show you in this video. So enjoy your pens, whether they be everyday pens or a beautiful $2,700 Australian dollar pen, and I'll talk to you soon.